This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to DevOps trainings with CareerIT online trainings. And myself is Raghu. So I am the trainer for this particular course. I, so like to introduce about myself. So I have close to 10 years of IT experience, and so reaching almost like 8 years of experience as a trainer as well, and almost delivered. So now it is reaching to 40 plus batches on DevOps. So it is a little bit old, but now reaching to 40 plus on DevOps and close to 100 plus batches on different technologies. Okay, and I'm a part-time trainer basically, so work with CareerIT, and I do work as a lead architect, and earlier I used to work with giant organizations for bigger applications and bigger infrastructure like Oracle and JP Morgan. So that's my pretty basic introduction. And to start this particular course, I would like to take few minutes of your time, and I would like to deliver a few slides from my side, so that would like to put few points in your mind that what we are going to do and what business needs is, okay, and everything, and how are we really aligning to the so jobs which are really required. All those things we'll discuss, and then finally we'll go to the QA sessions. A request from my side: if you have any queries, please hold till at the end of the session, at least I mean to say, like, end of the PPT, so that there won't be any time waste in between. So but at the ending I'll try to answer most of your questions, and if you have any, definitely we'll talk about those things. All right, so once again, so welcome to the DevOps trainings. Myself is Raghu, and so we're working with CareerIT to deliver this particular session. And so agenda for this particular agenda for the next few slides is going to be is to understand. So every one of you here to talk about or to learn about the DevOps training, right? So you need to understand what is DevOps. But before to that, in order to understand DevOps, what is there before DevOps? Okay, so that's, I feel, in that way you can easily understand what is DevOps and why it came into existence. And finally, we're going to have the tools which we are going to discuss. This is what the goal for this particular session. Okay, so and the point over here is, what is DevOps? Okay, in order to understand that, as I already mentioned, so we need to go a little bit so backward, okay, in history, to understand so what is happening without DevOps. So there is a certain business area inside company, so which is called as SDLC, so which is software development lifecycle. So the IT industry, the development is the very core one, and so the companies which follow or which makes the products basically, okay, so they follow certain standard life cycle to make their particular product, and to complete that particular product, so they usually follow certain methodologies. Okay, so you can name it, so different types of methodologies are waterfall model or V-shaped model, or a spiral model, iterative model, and even agile model. Okay, so these are the different methodologies which were there in SDLC, and every methodology is for a different requirement. So that's where I have given like some tools example here. So ideally it's not the right image to be here, but to understand it, okay, this is the best option. Now you try to understand every tool is not going to prefer to be used in every requirement, right? So that doesn't make sense, and that's where we are going to okay, so that's where we're going to use a tool based on our requirement. We're going to use a tool based on our requirement. So the same applies to SDLC as well. So every method cannot suffocate your requirements. Based on your development, you need to choose which methodology suits for you. And earlier, so waterfall is a model which used to be earlier um, earlier waterfall model is one of the one, so which used to support most of the generic requirements of SDLC. Okay, so that's where we we have waterfall model as a widely used model earlier, but now okay, so and even other models were there, but now waterfall model is no more and being used are being replaced by agile model. Okay, so and agile model now supports most of the requirements, or most of the requirements of SDLC. Okay, so that's where so today we are in agile methodologies, and earlier we used to be on waterfall methodology. And earlier with waterfall methodology, so we have certain advantages and as well as certain disadvantages. What are the advantages? You're going to get these specific deliverables, and it is really good for planning and to make your product. But the problem with the waterfall model is no backstage. So that means you'll be having different phases. Let's say development, testing, so deploying, like these different phases will be there. And once one phase is completed, you cannot go back to another phase. If you go back to another phase, okay, it is a restart kind of thing again. You are going to so spend the same time whatever you have spent earlier. So that's the approach of waterfall model. Okay, yet it was a successful model for pretty long time. And yeah, so now I mean, in today's business, it is not that much useful. But earlier, yes, this is the how the development used to go. So you take, especially the operating system, so they follow a waterfall model earlier. So something like if you know Windows XP operating system or Windows operating system till XP, you never used to get any updates, right? So we used to get a service pack, once in a year or once in 6 months. They'll release a small service pack, and you need to install that. It's not like daily updates what you're seeing today, right? So that was a waterfall model. Okay, big applications or any applications, whoever is making the product, so they used to follow this waterfall model. Okay, and yeah, Windows is any operating system, and Windows is one at least most of you familiar with, right? So the problem with this particular one is no backstage. So that means if you go back and again you have to release it again. And you know that, so after years of effort and you're not sure whether your product is going to be successful, so to complete a product with waterfall model, it takes years for you to get into success. I mean, to get into complete first thing. So you take Windows as an example. So they had a couple of operating systems which are a failure also. Okay, so after Windows 95 they had Windows 98, good operating system, but after that they had Windows Millennium, okay, which is a failure operating system. After that they came up with Windows XP, that was successful, but after Windows XP they came up with Windows Vista. Vista is a failure again. And after that Windows 7, Windows 8, and now Windows 10. This is all the life cycle are the products of your Windows, but couple of products are failure, a big failure. Okay, so and years of effort to make that particular operating system has been put it in trash. Like companies like Microsoft can afford that, but how about like small cap companies, like mid-scale companies? So after years of investment, to develop the product, and end of the day, if your product is not successful, it's not the right way to um, it's not the right way to you know um, uh, be to be live in the market, okay, or to live in the market, okay. So we might get killed. So because it's all runs with financial, and small and mid cap companies cannot afford this. So that's where, okay, so this is most expensive. All right, so this every company cannot afford going with um, so going with waterfall model, right? So that's where the waterfall model was there. And when you had waterfall model, there used to be different teams. So it's the development will be done by the developer, okay. So the developer is there, so either Java or .NET or whatever the application you have. So there are developers and they develop the product. That's fine. But after developing the product, so there are certain teams which are going to help in releasing the product. And what all those different teams are is build and release team, so who used to compile the code and so track the releases and everything. And after that there will be a QA team, which is a testing team, so to test the product. Yes, of course, this testing is also very important. And as well as middleware and sysadmin and database, okay. So this come into existence because of the type of business changed, not changed actually, it was there from waterfall model, or the mode of business. I'm trying to so focus over here is the mode of business we want to focus over here is web applications, okay. So today everyone is talking about cloud. Cloud means not Amazon, okay. Cloud is a generic word, right? So okay, so cloud services is what people are much interested in nowadays, and that's where everyone is moving. So especially an example, if I talk about, I'll talk about Microsoft Office. See, how do we used to use Microsoft Office? So I used to use Microsoft Office by downloading a software and installing in my local machine, and I'll be using it. But today, do you really require Microsoft Office? No. So there is a Office 365 website. If you just go for Office 365, you can just log in and you can get your Office software directly on the browser. You can get all these particular tools, okay. Excel, Word, PowerPoint, notes, okay. All these options, you're going to get it in the browser. How is it possible? How is it possible? So today, not how, basically, why is the requirement? So because today everyone is moving into cloud-based solutions. That means we don't need to have anything local. Everything should be as a service from the internet, okay. And that's where the business is there from almost like, so the same kind of business was there from whenever the internet has started almost, okay. So from almost like 2000, from 2000 2002, that time, most of the applications were there, at least in 2000, okay. I know some of the applications which are famous that time, at least Yahoo, and Yahoo based one, or Yahoo based search engines, or Yahoo based messengers, which were used to work on browsers, and as well as e-commerce websites like eBay, okay. So which were so famous that time, okay, not Amazon, eBay. All right, so some applications were there, and after that, like close to 2003 2004, we got Gmail and Google products into the market. And yeah, so that's how, so everyone is trying to solve the applications over, like Google Office. You take Google Office. Google Office is is a web-based approach from the day one. So you have Google Word, Google PowerPoint, all those softwares. You can get it just on the browser. Okay, so they never allowed you to or they never made it to install in your local system, completely on browser. Okay, so that's where, okay, web applications. And if you have web applications and you serve your application as a service, and these teams come into existence: middleware team who runs that particular application, sysadmin team who runs the server which runs that application, and database admins who runs or maintains the database which is used by the application. Okay, these are the different teams, so work individually together, work individually, those are individual teams, but work for a purpose. And they used to deliver this particular waterfall model applications. Okay, okay, so we have applications and we are delivering them, that's fine. Okay, now what is the purpose of waterfall model today. Okay, what is the purpose of another model, which is agile model, as you already have waterfall model? So the problems which you had over waterfall model was expensive. Okay, every company cannot afford it. So that's a major problem, and there is no going back. And if you go back, it's a reset again, and you have to do it from scratch. So that takes a lot of time and takes a lot of again amount to invest. So that's a problem. And what agile methodology came in existence almost like 2008 2009. And so what waterfall model is sorry what agile model is trying to tell you over here is so you don't need to release a big applications. It's a methodology. It's a simple philosophies you follow. Okay, nothing more than that. Methodology is not any technical thing. It's a philosophies. Okay, so in agile philosophy, what they'll tell you is don't make big applications, make small, make small. Okay, so but my application is big. How I want to make it small? But so cut the features. You take WhatsApp as a best example. I always talk about WhatsApp only. Okay, because everyone knows the state of WhatsApp from where it was and where it is now, right? So WhatsApp as an application, their purpose is only to deliver the message over the data. Their job has done 10 years back. The WhatsApp purpose has done 10 years back. What is the purpose? Send out a message over the data and receive it over the data, and the job is done. But they haven't stopped there. Their innovation is still continuing. Okay, so and how they are continued, okay, different features. So they had a basic application, but every month or every day or every week, so probably giving an update. So about small fixes. Okay, small features, small fixes. You will get a lot of a lot of updates every time. Every day your mobile, so every day you'll see so these many updates available, those many updates available, right? So how are you um, or why are you getting so many updates? Those so many updates you are getting because of agile methodology. So they make small, even a one line change should mark it as a release. So one line change of the developer should go as a release to the end customer, because that one line is what the fix probably to the end user. And so that's where the fix goes, and um, that is how it usually it usually um, happens in agile methodology. So so there is there is a something called a sprint. We talk about more details in the sessions, but there is something called as a sprint as per the sprint definition, or defined for your team. So you'll be releasing an application for every 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or so depends upon your choice. So you make it, or you have to release it. Okay, so previously with waterfall model, after years you are going to release a product. But now, let's say assume you take it as a 2 weeks as a default one. Every 2 weeks you have to release your product to the end customer. So end customer means, so let's say so everyone is using on the browser based approaches, and you should see the changes. Okay, so how it is going to be possible, so so it takes months of effort to release an application earlier. But so you're releasing the development itself in 2 weeks, and you have the operations teams now, and the operations teams using the same approach of waterfall model applied in agile model as well. Okay, the methodology changed and the teams haven't changed. The teams remain same, and using those same teams, there are some problems. What are all those problems? Okay, and which these problems has been identified by Accenture, and in one of his presentations few years back. So they have given one webinar, or I think seminar. So that's where I have just took this particular screenshot and so kept it out here. So they mentioned three major points actually. So more time is taken by IT operations, whereas development team is taking less time. Your operations team is making more time. So that's a funny thing, right? So yeah, like how how we operate in India. So buying a vehicle happens in one day, but a registration happens, almost like after 2 weeks. Just try to understand the point, okay? So how is it really needed? Okay, in some states it's automated. You take your vehicle, you get with registration, done, right? So smoother process, and yeah, so that's how it is happening. So I mean, okay, so that is how usually the difference in the service usually is. Okay, so now coming to the teams also, you have different teams. There is no there is no cooperation between the teams. There is no collaboration between those teams because those are individual teams. Those are individual teams. They doesn't bother about each other. So they have middleware team, they have database team, sysadmin team, okay, testers, and build and release guys. Okay, so and some other guys might be business guys, and all these doesn't have so cooperation with each other and everywhere. So they are trying to point each other, and that's where okay, so it's taking more time because of collaboration and because an issue comes, assume, so there is no person going to take the responsibility and says that, so let's say if application is working, he say that, it's an OS issue, and you go to the OS guy and say that, hey, it's an OS issue. No, I haven't changed anything in the OS. So see my report, so my OS is still same. You change the application and this is an application issue. It's all pinpointing. Okay, and never issues never used to get resolved so fast. And also people used to do a lot of manual efforts, a lot of we used to do a lot of manual work, and that's where manual work leads to mistakes, and those mistakes cause a lot of outages for your application. Okay, that's what is a problem. And another problem is so as I have mentioned, every team has a different values, so they don't bother about each other. Okay, so that's where the problem is. All right, so now ideally, so so then there need to be a solution for these particular approaches, and that's where a new team has been introduced, and that team is going to take care of all the efforts which are being done by the previous operations guys. Okay, so as a build and release guy, as a tester or middleware, as a sysadmin, and as a DBA, a single guy is going to take care of that particular effort. Now we are calling him as a DevOps engineer. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, so he's a person, he's going to take care everything, or his team is going to take care of everything. So usually any manager who wants to form a DevOps team, so they usually do this way. So they take some person who is from a sysadmin background, who knows the DevOps tools, and uh, i mean um, uh, uh, okay, and as well as he's take some other person who is from a DBA background, who knows DevOps tools, and put them as a team, and they share the knowledge, and together they work, and they deliver the product. So that is how it is happening. So you should always go to question, okay, so I'm really need to learn all these. The answer could be in a long term years, but on a short term, so at least one of the background. Okay, so is good, or else be better on the tools. Okay, if you know the tools, so background is really not that much matter, but still it matters in certain situations. But tools is what, another point actually here. There are five guys who is doing the work. As a single person, can you do the work? And the answer is yes. How the answer is using a tool. Okay, so I might tell a funny example, but that is really true. Let's say if I have a screw in a wooden block or a wall, in a wall, and if I want to remove this, if I have a screwdriver, how smooth the job is. Okay, you can remove because you have a tool. But if you don't have a tool, and if I ask you to remove it, then what is, how much struggle you have to do. That same kind of approach we were doing earlier with waterfall model with the different teams, or with agile methodology using the teams of waterfall model is a problem. So that's where we are trying to make a solution over here, which is a DevOps engineer, and companies started adopting the DevOps culture. Okay, so DevOps is a simple role. It's no technology or nothing. It's a simple role which inside the organization, which has an ability to bring out deliver your applications in a fast manner. That's all. According to Amazon, this is a statement from Amazon Web Services. If you go and open Amazon AWS DevOps, you'll see this statement. So DevOps is a combination of cultural philosophies, practices, and tools that increases the organization ability to deliver the applications at higher velocity. Okay, so that's what is what the what is the meaning of, or what is DevOps. It's nowhere technology. It's a simple team and a simple approaches to deliver your application in high speed. That's all. Okay, and so in order to be as a DevOps engineer, so you will be having certain roles and responsibilities. You will have a single point agenda, single thing. Okay, you have to deliver your application smoother to the to the production environments. So there are going to be lower environments to higher environments. Your application will be there in the lower environment, which is dev environment, and from dev environment you have to take the code to the production environment. So probably you'll have a couple of stages in between, like in between you can have some testing environment to test the application, and you have to check your application really working or not. So you'll be having some UAT environments or stage, you'll be having some stage environments. Okay, so that's another thing. And and finally, the code has to go to the production. So we maintain all these stages because we want to ensure once code goes to the production, there should not be any issues. So to ensure it, we are just going to use multiple stages. That's what every company follows usually. Okay, so the next thing is, so your roles and responsibilities. Your roles and responsibilities are going to be single point agenda, as I mentioned. So release your application to the production. Okay, so you'll be having certain things you need to take care. So which is your roles and responsibilities, smooth operations, as I mentioned. In order to do the smooth operations, you need to go for, so the tools also to be chosen as per the requirement. So that's what you need to take care. And automation is the key factor for smoother operations. Okay, in order to make a smooth operation, so automation is a key factor, and automation can be sometimes done with a tool or can be done with a scripting, in some places. So automation is a key factor. And sometimes, so let's say even your application is so good but your infrastructure is so bad. Let's say if you are deploying your application on a physical server and expecting a high availability, probably not possible, okay, in today's world, right? So you need to change your infra also accordingly. Okay, so that's where infrastructure is also so important. And when it comes to the infrastructure, so we need to talk about something called as cloud. Okay, so today we are actually trying to move on to the cloud-based infrastructure. Infrastructure can be anywhere. So cloud is services usually, and infrastructure is also as a service. And ultimately, so cloud and DevOps has become as um, you know um, unbreakable or unbreakable components. Okay, so cloud with DevOps is what today's market requirement. And that's where, okay, so we are going to talk about both the concepts in our sessions, okay, together, not individually, again together. So without one, without each other, okay, there is no use. If you learn DevOps without a cloud, okay, it is okay to get a job, but today's world you will not get properly. Okay, cloud is mandatory. And if you go only for a cloud, that is no use, because without a business, learning only cloud is really absolutely zero use. Okay, so that's where without any business, basically, not only DevOps, without any business requirement. So that's where I see most of the people, so take the AWS course and end up, so saying that they don't have any jobs out there, right? So of course you will not have only for AWS, you need to have some business requirements, and followed with a cloud as an add-on. Okay, so yeah, so cloud and DevOps is what is today's requirement. And what is a cloud? Most of you would be aware, cloud computing is a delivery of computing services, like like server storages, databases, okay, IoT device, and gaming layer, a lot of anything as anything as a service they're offering today. Okay, and if you look into the cloud vendors, or if you look for the cloud advantages, everything is an advantage. So cost is less, and scalability, you get more scalable for your application, and the productivity is higher, speed is higher, performance is higher, and so security is also considerable, so best options in cloud computing as well. Okay, so we don't need to really worry about so going into the cloud. And that's where even corporate bankings are into cloud now. Okay, so at least I work with JP Morgan, so they have shipped some of their applications into Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. Okay, so like that. Okay, so the companies are adopting the cloud computing. And on this particular cloud computing, you have different vendors in this particular area. Okay, and according to And according to right scale is a guy who provides the surveys of DevOps related to DevOps related you know not tools, DevOps related uh, surveys, okay, tools, and as well as the feature survey. They usually make it, and according to 2017 and 2018 report, it is AWS is a leader, no doubt. Actually everyone knows that, and we're seeing that, and AWS is a leader in the cloud area. Okay, so that's where okay, our syllabus is also comparing with any other cloud. AWS is bigger, and that's where we have chosen AWS as our course, in our course. Okay, and the trend for your okay, DevOps in the market is always with the cloud. Okay, so whichever cloud is more demand, definitely that to that particular cloud only that trend will be there. And with the DevOps is what is market requirement today. Okay, so the DevOps trend in the market is today they're expecting with the cloud, as I mentioned, and along with the container technologies. Okay, like any of the container technologies like Cloud Foundry or OpenShift or Kubernetes, okay, or MESOS, or anyone, it is expected to have some containerized technology. So today, a lot of things are changing from a couple of years. So this DevOps, as far I know, when I started, so back in 2012, there were a lot of changes using these particular tools. But again, now there is again one more shift is happening inside this particular DevOps area or this development area. So now today everyone is trying to be on containers. So Google is there on containers almost like 12, 13 years back. We're talking about today about containers, but Google as a company, they were using this container technology. So back in 2015 to 2005, 2006 time itself. Okay, so that's how so they were so successful and their applications are so high available. All right, and coming to the final part, what are the tools which we are going to discuss is these are the tools. So we're going to start our course with Linux with shell scripting, and we're going to talk about we're going to talk about a configuration management tool as Ansible, and on the on the tools part, we're going to talk about on the Git repository, we'll talk about Git and GitLab. Actually, this is a mistake. This is GitLab, not GitHub, GitLab. And we'll talk about GitLab. And after that, we'll talk about Jenkins. So Jenkins is not only simply like freestyle jobs, what you see probably on the UI. No, Jenkins is completely automation. So my scope of this particular course is single point, one-click deployment. If I go and do it, click on deploy. So let's say I'll show you this deployment tool. Harness is the deployment tool which I show. Okay, so what I do is we'll have different pipelines basically. Okay, and what we do is I'll just click on start deployment, and I'll select the deployment. Okay, this one pipeline, just click on submit. That's all. What all the needed values, I'll give this and just click on submit, and the application goes and get deployed. So this might not work at this time, so I'm just bringing my last batch okay, pipelines uh, for doing the deployments. So okay, so this is how it goes. Actually, this is how it goes. It's a deployment tool which we'll be using, and this is my goal. At the end, finally, I'll be coming to this particular tool. I'll click on the start new deployment and just sit and relax, and everything happens as smooth as possible, and you'll see the changes of the application. Okay, and in order to achieve that, you have to use almost all the components whatever you see over here. Okay, so that's where um, okay, that's where. So Jenkins also not simple UI kind of approach. It's completely automated. End to end is automation, and Jenkins also will talk about more of pipelines. And the CI tools, we'll be talking about a lot of tools like Maven, Gradle, so Sonar, Nexus. We have SonarQube, we have Selenium, Python. Okay, a lot of things we'll be using over there. Okay, we'll use a Blazemeter with JMeter, and yeah, so Blazemeter with the JMeter, and okay, so those are the CI tools which we generally use over here. So those were not mentioned over here because we're not going to talk in depth of those, because we just consume those particular services and we want to complete our CI activities, like how it happens inside organizations. Okay, So, but that's fine. You'll get an understanding about those as well. And also log aggregation tool by using ELK and any monitoring tool. Okay, so New Relic is what I was teaching earlier, but to my last batch, actually, I want to explore some other tools, like at least any other monitoring tool you'll be seeing. Okay, so we'll discuss that in the session or at this point of time. So stick to New Relic probably, and and uh, and also in parallel to these particular tools, we'll start our course with Amazon. We'll start our course with Amazon Web Services. Okay, and Amazon's Web Services will talk about different services like network-based services like VPC, Subnet, Internet Gateway, NAT Gateway, routes, IP tables, firewalls. All these things we'll talk about. And coming to the compute services, we'll talk about EC2, Elastic Beanstalk, and Elastic Kubernetes Service (EKS). All these compute services we'll be talking about. So coming to the storage, we'll talk about EBS, EFS, S3, different types of storages. And coming to the DevOps related approach, we'll be having, so code deploy, code commit, code pipeline, code build. Some services are there. We'll talk about that. And finally, coming to the miscellaneous okay, there are some IAM roles, Lambda, all will try to explore. And finally, all these particular, so services will deal with Amazon, will deal with Terraform. Okay, so we deal with Terraform. Again, automation. It's not like again, simple go to the UI and create it. Initially, we'll start that way. We'll start there, but later we always go with automation. Okay, and finally, coming to the end part of the course, we'll be having Docker and Kubernetes. Kubernetes with Docker, we're going to discuss, and we'll complete CI/CD efforts in Kubernetes. Kubernetes, I'll talk about only Kubernetes. I'll not talk about any other tools which are needed to make the Kubernetes in a smoother operations. Let's say assume, okay, if I want to deploy an application, I can go ahead and do it manually. Why scripting? Because to make your life easy. And that's where Kubernetes will deal with the Kubernetes. Assume that you want to do that automation. Probably will not be talking about that in these particular sessions. Okay, so we'll talk about purely Kubernetes and CI/CD related deployments. Okay, so if you want to know about complete Kubernetes, we have a separate course for that. So Kubernetes is a big tool, it's a big platform, and it has a lot many options. Okay, and even you can do some automation on top of that. So and everything will be discussed in a separate course. Okay, so but at least you will deploy your application into Kubernetes using Kubernetes approaches, direct Kubernetes approaches, and we will deploy the application. And the strategy of deploying the application is usually if you just go for so deployment strategies in DevOps. If you just try to put it in internet DevOps, okay, so you get an answer like 6 strategies of application deployment. So there are different types of deploying your application strategy. Okay, so which is okay, recreate, RAM, blue green, canary, A/B testing, and shadow. Out of these, for our application, we'll be picking up 2 different types of deployments, which is rammed update, which we also call it as rolling update, and the other one is called as blue green deployment. So we'll go for blue green. So we'll try to do the 2 different types of strategies. One for using the servers. Using the servers, we will deploy our application into the servers using rolling update as well as blue green deployment. And the same thing will deliver our application into Kubernetes using rolling update as well as blue green deployment. That is what the thing we're going to discuss about it. Okay, so finally, before concluding my PPT, okay, I need to talk about a few more points. And as a part of this particular course, the services which we offer is a lifetime recording. After the session, you're going to get your recording over YouTube. So you can access that particular YouTube videos for lifelong. So there is no restriction on that. And the content whichever we are going to share is completely online. So we'll share it whenever is needed. It is online. And also while during your practice or after the sessions or anything, if you want to talk to me for any queries of technical queries, I have a Slack channel where you can directly talk to me. Okay, so you post your question and I'll answer you there. Okay, so these are the services which we generally offer. And before going with the so general queries with everyone, So a general question which usually comes to everyone from everyone is, am I suitable for this particular course? Like, who are suitable for this particular course is, as I already mentioned, there are there are five guys who are part of this particular uh, business background earlier, like build and release guy, testing guy, middleware, sysadmin, database guys. You are absolutely suitable for this course. And even developers are absolutely okay. So absolutely, um, so take this particular course. Might not be for shifting into DevOps area, but to understand how operations are working. So they might tune their development. Okay, so for that, at least yes. Or if they want to shift, that's their choice. But ultimately, end of the day, so the developer is the guy who highly paid rather than an engineer. Okay, so that's their choice. And apart from that, so there are a few companies who are taking freshers as well. If you're a fresher, you can take it, but the opportunities are going to be very small. Okay, it's more for a professional one, so you'll be having more experience for experienced guys. Okay, or whoever want to shift from some other background, not apart from these, whoever want to shift from apart from any of the background, don't ask my suggestion. Okay, so it is your choice. It has to be your choice. Okay, choose carefully. If you choose, and so stand on the decision. Okay, so don't think like so someone said this, I should be going that. So probably someone so try to guide you, but you're the person should take that decision. So take the decision, and if you say yes, I want DevOps, yes, then I can help you. Okay, so but generally if you're coming from other background, it has to be your decision. Okay, as a marketing guy, I'll say that yes, come with me, and we'll do that, but still, okay, it has to be your decision. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Hopefully I have given the information which I want to put through, and yeah, so that's all from my side. And the sessions would be starting from Monday. It is going to be 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. IST. The organizers will anyhow talk back to you. Please provide everyone your details over the chat to the organizer, so that they can contact you. Okay, so open for any queries if you have any. You can unmute and talk.
Raghu, this is Venu. I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, uh, see, I'm into operations. I have an experience of 12 years, but into process side. I'm sure you are aware of the IT process, right?
Hmm.
So I'm from that background. So I know about the operations side from the process end, but I don't even know about technical knowledge. Like, I am a non-technical guy.
Yeah.
So if I have to choose for DevOps, I know I have been through with a number of classes, online videos, and they say that I am suitable, but I need to put a lot of efforts to learn the Linux and shell scripting. But however, when you stated that the people who are eligible for this course, you have never said about the process guys. So what's your suggestion? Like, I'm eligible. Can I go for it? Uh, uh, because you've been the marketing guy and you have seen many people like like me from a non-technical background. So what's your suggestion?
So, I mean, you cannot die with, or you cannot retire in that particular support role, right? So definitely. So being on the technical side
Right.
is always better. So for you, I can
Mhm.
suggest you to go for DevOps. Yeah, not an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. Thank you so much,
No.
Raghu. With one answer, you have cleared all my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank- Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? So please unmute yourself and ask. So you'll be muted by default. You can unmute and talk. any question doesn't matter. Okay, so just an interactive session. So wouldn't mind. Okay, so you can put anything, whatever you have in mind. Try to clear your doubts at least, whatever you have.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Prasad.
Hi,
Plus,
Raghu. Yeah,
uh,
one question from my side.
Yeah.
So generally, like we are having around 4.5 years experience. I'm working for some sort of testing, database testing, ETL testing. Then, if I jump into this DevOps plus AWS, then what is that scope? To achieve a new job, then definitely we need to struggle hard for some time. So,
Hmm.
but what sort of time does it take for me to get into this field exactly?
So if you keep a decent amount of time, like so 2 to 3 hours every day, so within around, at least I can say, on an average, like 4 months, 4 to 6 months, you should be able to.
yeah, Raghu, this is Venkat.
1 second, Venkat. I think Prasad is trying to conclude his question. Yeah.
Yeah, and a final thing is like, okay, let me take 4 to 5 months. Like, there should be any strategy that we need to be updating our resume from now itself, and you know, uh, in the meantime, in the span of around 4 to 5 months, we need to attend a number of interviews or something like that. And
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Complete your question.
yeah, yeah. And if at all, if the company asks for any experience on this, then what sort of experience we need to show them?
Yeah. All right. So to answer your question, okay, so you have 2 points. So one is, so what is the strategy in putting the resume, and as well as how to tell to the recruiter, like, or the interviewers, or about your experience. Okay, first, to answer your first question, your strategy would be, okay, that's great actually. Okay, so if you apply for the interviews, I don't suggest you to keep it. So for 5 months your resume, because if you keep your resume open for 5 months, so that definitely shows to the recruiter that you're not being recruited by any other guy. Okay, first thing, so that shows less interest to the recruiter. I would not suggest to do that. So rather than that, so after, once you feel comfortable everything, so then you okay, so put your resume, so that your um, you know your resume is alive. I mean to say, is open for few days, or from only few days, so probably recruiters will think about, so picking up your resume. That's one thing, okay, on that particular perspective. And the second thing for you, for the question you asked is, okay, so how to present your experience, convert that particular experience into the DevOps area. So our training is actually based on a project based approach. Okay, we'll take a minimal application, but we always, I mean, even to the minimal application, we'll set the standards of enterprise application. What all the standards will have it inside our enterprise world. So we will try to match those standards even to the sample application. So you can look around your company's business, and so company's products, and you can align that particular products into the tools which we are going to discuss about, and you can deliver that particular experience. So that confidence you'll get it only after so learning the tools. And once you learn the tools, then yeah, so you will get an understanding by looking into a project. Okay, so this might can be completed with this kind of tools. You'll get some idea, and ultimately you have to frame the same story and deliver to the recruiter. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Venkat.
Yeah, Raghu. Yeah, this is Venkat. Actually, any lab you are providing or for practice and lab?
Yeah. So we are actually designing this, we have designed this particular course on Amazon Web Services. Every one of you has to practice. It goes in a real-time way, and you have to practice inside the cloud. Okay, I don't provide anything. So you will be creating your own lab in your own account, and you'll be using it. And almost like, if if to try to complete this particular course, it will not cost you more than $5 to $10, and that we have to bear from, uh, everyone has to
Okay.
bear that amount. Yeah.
Hi Raghu, this
Okay.
is Ram.
Also, Actually, one requirement is we have to clear the AWS Architect's certification. In this training, it covers. Okay, with this training,
AWS certification is more of a theoretical way, not really
Mm.
practical way. Okay, so if you want to really complete the course, that's a different approach actually. Ours is more practical. Okay, we don't go around theory and we don't go around PPTs and do that. So our goal is for so delivering our application and all goes in a practical way. In a certification point of view, the training changes the phase actually. Okay, and AWS certification is not that difficult. You have some objective questions, you have terms around 200 questions objectives. If you just go and prepare them, you'll score 80 to 90% on an average. That's fine. So certification is not really that much worry part actually. The only thing is if you learn a certification course, you'll get only the theory knowledge. You'll not get the more of practical knowledge. But ours is completely practical, not about like
It covers
certification.
both, right? AWS and DevOps.
It covers AWS and DevOps, and AWS also, not only the certification. So in AWS certification, you will not see in that particular associate certificate, you will not see these many services actually, which we are actually listed over here. So here, so these many services you'll not see. Probably around 60% of these are these only you'll see out there. Probably some more might be in general, but yeah, ours is completely onto our business is DevOps, and we'll align our cloud also to the DevOps, and we'll complete that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
Raghu,
Ram.
this is
Yeah,
Ram. Hello.
yeah, go ahead.
So, the one with who doesn't have a Linux and a scripting background, so how he can, cope up with this work?
Yeah, we'll start our course with Linux and shell scripting. So we will deliver what is needed for this particular course, and after that you have to learn. And today, okay, so if I say about Linux, it's all about it become like a end user. It become like a end user usage. Okay, so administration is very less in a cloud world. So back in 11 years back when we learned Linux, and if I compare the Linux now, whatever is being delivered, it's not even 10% of the time whatever we had, and struggle what we had actually. So you're in a much sophisticated world. So cloud is making you that way. So you needed to know as a user, but learning more is always better. I'm not telling you I'm teaching 100% of the job requirements or 100% of the business requirements. Okay, let me be clear on this point. I am trying to deliver as much as possible of a complete stack to show or present that you are as as a DevOps engineer with a decent experience around, you can say, like, so 2 to 3 years or around 3 years. Okay, but again, so that is not the limitation, and that is not complete. So you have to adopt few things. Let's say on the scripting part, I'm telling only shell scripting, but most of the people might be asking about Python scripting. So you have to adopt Python scripting. Okay, so that is an additional add-on you have to take care apart from that. So Linux also the same way. I'll be talking about whatever is needed from my side and give you a kickoff, and from there you have to explore every day. You have to explore some other thing. It's not like, probably, I'm not sure how you have been in the market, or in the organizations. Just go to office, do the job and come out, enjoy your day, and so next year routines the same way. So this area will not work that way. Okay, this is more volatile and more challenging way of more challenging area especially. So you have to adopt the knowledge every day. Okay, after the course, during the course, I always suggest to everyone, okay, so open YouTube. Don't watch movies. Okay, so open some conferences which is offered by, let's say, Amazon, so they make reinvent in a reinvent event every year, and they have almost like, so 5 days of sessions they'll provide, and everything recordings are available over YouTube. You can just go through them so that you'll understand a lot of things there. So how Amazon is moving and what services you might get in future, so how they are doing their business to make to serve the customer, everything you'll try to get answer in so much way. So let's say you take some tool like, let's say I talk about Kubernetes, assume. So okay, I talk about Kubernetes, but I cannot talk about, so 100 different ways how 100 different companies uses. So we'll try to take a requirement and we'll try to deliver our requirement, like, possibly one or two approaches we'll talk about. But that might be, okay, different guys approaching even the best practices than what I'm teaching. So if you go to the, so Kubernetes, let's say we call that as um, gatherings. Okay, Kubernetes gatherings or Kubernetes gather something is anything you put it on the YouTube. So there is small communities, they run some small presentations and thing there, the people tells you the decent knowledge. So like that, it's one way of adopting the knowledge. Usually I do, basically. So personally I do a lot of YouTubing, and so go through a lot of those particular videos, so that you'll understand, so how other guys are also doing. The way how you do that, probably learning, so listening to him, probably you can tune yourself and you can do in a better way. Okay, so yeah, that's how you have to adapt. And coming back to the point what you have mentioned, so what is the point you have mentioned, by the way? Yeah. um
Sense fitting, but
yeah, Shask. Right, so Linux, and so nowhere stopping, and I'm not telling you we're teaching 100%. So we, even if we, okay, we'll just try to give a kickoff, and we'll try to deliver our requirement. So based on that, you look around, always look around. So the simple answer for you is, don't stick to mine and look around. And yes, that is how you have to be a successful guy. Yeah.
in the Kubernetes also it's a separate course, is it?
Right,
If
we
you
have
want
a
to,
separate course, and Kubernetes is covered here. Here it is only Kubernetes, that's all. But around Kubernetes you have a lot of tools, so those will not be discussed in this course.
okay.
Raghu, is this course completely with AWS, or are you going to discuss about the physical infrastructure as well, like to what's going on and how can we deploy without integrating with the cloud?
Without integrating with the cloud, so we will be using on the cloud itself, no doubt in that. But the same strategies you can apply on your, I mean, anyhow, we'll be using servers to deploy our application, we'll be using services to deploy our application. So you can take server layer and you can adopt that same thing in your own local internal data centers if you want.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
correct. But when you talk about AWS and physical, it lot of things are gonna keep changing in AWS. When you deploy the DNS server, it's already pre-built. You don't need to do. It's not the same way you'll be doing in the physical compared to cloud, correct? So it's
exactly.
already automated. So you cannot see the complete UI what you want to do in the physical infrastructure, because if my company is a banking sector company or financial company, which they don't want to integrate on the cloud, or if they want to do hybrid cloud, in physical and AWS. So at that point, like how can I understand how to implement the things? I was completely new to DevOps, so
Yeah, I already answered the same question again. Okay, so I mentioned we'll use services to deploy our application, and we'll use servers also to deploy our application. Okay, so yes, you have to just use the server strategy and use that particular server strategies to deploy your application. We'll
okay.
talk about servers. We'll install everything on the complete servers, and then and after understanding that, only we'll go to the services. Okay, so you'll be only on the first layer. You'll never go to the next layer. That's all.
Okay, all the servers we use Linux servers, right?
Linux servers from Amazon, but probably the server creation will be done on Amazon in a simple manner. But if it is your
Yeah.
physical data center, so you have to find out your way, whether you do kickstart installation or if you are using any private cloud to kick off your servers, and that you have to explore around it. But this is at least with Amazon. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, hi, this is Chaitanya. Hello.
yeah, Chaitanya. Yeah,
Hi, Raghu.
Chaitanya.
Actually, I want to know one thing. If you got 6 months training, after that, how much it will give practical experience? How much we need to put experience? How many years?
So as I already mentioned, so you'd be in a position to keep it around 3 years, decent experience. If you are able to deliver my course exactly what I teach, um, to,
Okay.
I mean, if you are able to deliver, you can easily keep 3 years. But that is not so easy, by the way. Okay, so delivering exactly. It takes a lot of time to practice. Yes, discipline will definitely get you even better than me. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Raghu, Visu here.
Yes, Visu.
Yeah, so I'm having overall 6+ of years of experience. So under business intelligence. So if I say for my current company, I'm working for from 4 years. So if I want to keep 4 years on DevOps, so what should I keep for my past company? So it should be related to DevOps, or it's same as the whatever I'm working.
So you want to convert your existing 4 years of experience into DevOps is what your question is.
Yes, yeah. So I'm asking what about my past experience? So let's say somewhere around 3 years of the past.
Yeah. So some people will consider your prior experience, and some people might not, consider about your prior experience. So yeah. So I mean, if you say DevOps, so you will be saying that, so you have 3 years of, let's say I'm saying DevOps, I have close to, so 10 plus years of experience, but as a DevOps guy, I'll say only I have experience of 7 years only. Okay. So why is, because prior to that, my role was completely different. Okay. I used to do Linux and middleware administration. Yeah, so on that particular perspective, so so the people will consider your total experience versus with your DevOps experience, and based on this particular DevOps experience, okay, they will negotiate either your technical interviews or probably your package discussions as well. Both, that depends. Any other questions?
Hi Raghu, this is Naveen.
Yeah.
I'm 2018 passed out. I'm a fresher. Can you please suggest any suggestions? Like I'm interested to learn this DevOps and AWS.
Yeah, there are few companies even more are happening, so they are interested to take freshers as well. So yeah, you can go with this particular course. At least personally, so this is the third year which I am actually. We have taken freshers every year. We're just taking freshers, but this is a campus recruitment which happens in my organization, and we just took the freshers and will so instead of going for an experienced guy, we prefer to go for a freshers guy. Why? Because the guy, simple point actually, the guy who comes with some other experience, we have to give him the same training, and we have to mold him as per our requirements. So the same way, can't you do for a fresher? The fresher is much better than that. Okay, in my point. Okay, because the guy coming from an experience, he will he will have his own point, and he'll always has some problem in syncing. But freshers, it would not be that problem. Okay, so yeah, at least it's happening that way, and there are companies actually who takes that. So no worry for you. You can give it a try.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry to interrupt you. The batch will be starting from Monday only. Timings are from 7:30 to 9. So please do reach us. The other day, contact numbers, whatever we have provided, and even do check your mails for the more details, for the link and other details. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi Raghu, this is Raju
Yeah,
here.
Raj. Yeah, Raj.
Yeah. Actually, my first thought is I thought to learn AWS, but when I call to this institute now, they are suggesting to learn DevOps also. Is it mandatory to learn DevOps?
Yeah, ideally, as I already mentioned, so AWS will never give you a job. Okay, so That's only an add-on. And so without a business, okay, you go to Amazon Web Services and you go there and you'll be asked to create a server. Why are you creating a server? Do you have any knowledge? You're just doing the job. Okay, that's all, but you don't have any business knowledge at all. And end of the day, and it's basically it's of no use, and it will not happen that way. Okay, so you should be a guy with some business knowledge to use you know to use AWS. So let's say a simple example might be funny and worst example, but just try to understand the point here. So let's say I want to keep a store. Let's say assume I want to keep some probably an ice cream store. Okay, I want to open a new ice cream store. So I'll not go to so Kashmir and keep a counter out there, right? So where there is no people around there, and okay, so and no one there is no general requirement because so it is much cooler there, and technically it doesn't really require there. Okay, so whenever you are actually doing something, so there has to be a requirement. Okay, the requirement matters, and do that before doing it, and that's where. And so your business is needed. Okay, business is needed to open a shop for me, and rather than that, if I put it in nearby some educational institution or where you have more business, I'll be getting more business out there, right? So that's where you have to have some business properly to do some work, right? So yeah, and coming to the same point, yes, business is needed for you, and AWS is just an add-on. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, and then actually I'm working in product. Are you there?
I lost you, Raju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, now I'm working in production. Actually, here my colleagues, one of my colleague is working, like they are doing deployments. They are using DevOps, but
Right.
they are coming. They are coming in shifts. Actually, I am also working in shifts. I don't want to work in shifts. Actually, that is only really bothering.
Yeah, ideally for an engineer will work with along with the developer, he will not have shifts. And there are companies actually who are adopting these DevOps tools, and they're also calling it as DevOps teams. And so from now on, you have to apply for the companies who don't have any shifts. That's all. And for an engineer, 99.9% you should not have. If they are actually recruiting, or you are actually applied for a pure DevOps guy, and so they are taking for you for a DevOps requirement, you will never have a shifts.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, all right. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the organizers, and the session starts from Monday, and Monday 7:30 a.m. IST. We'll start our session and we'll continue from there. Okay. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and hope we'll see you soon. See you soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Raghu.
This conference will now be recorded.